Welcome back to Behind the Camo. In this episode, we're asking the big question, what's in it for you? We're going to explore how an army career can help you grow, not just as a soldier, but as a person. From gaining qualifications to building leadership skills, from apprenticeships to degree schemes, the Army offers real opportunities to develop and plan your future. In our first episode, we explored what the Army is really all about and challenged some of those common myths people have. This time, we're focusing on you and showing how an Army career can help you build valuable skills, gain qualifications, and shape your future. And as always, this is about showing you the reality so you can decide if Army life could be part of your journey. I'm Second Lieutenant Michael Kern, an Army reservist serving as a port and maritime troop commander with 165 Regiment Royal Logistics Corps. When I'm not in uniform, I'm a business owner and a sports broadcaster. And when I get the chance, you'll probably find me on the football pitch or out enjoying some sport. Like many in the Army Reserve, I balance civilian life with service, and it's given me opportunities I never expected. If you're watching us live, you can pop your questions into the chat box, and our team will get back to you and answer your questions. Well, with me today, we have Lieutenant Theo Stewart, Private Robin Hart, Private Ellis Feathers, and Corporal James Herbert. They're here to share their own experiences of how the Army has helped them learn, grow, and achieve. Well, first of all, thank you so much to all of you for joining us today. Great to have you here. Let's kick things off with a very open question of how the Army has helped you grow and development from a personal development point of view. And let's start over here.
I joined the Army when I was 16. Once I left school, I attended the Army Foundation College Harrogate. I went there for a year, and it's basically where you conduct your phase 1 training. And from that person that I was in school, I wasn't very confident, I wasn't really into sport. It just brought this different side out of me. I was doing loads of different sports and I was just a lot more confident alongside my peers. I feel like at 16, you're quite, you're very young, but if I could go back and do it again, I would. It was a really good experience.
I've noticed it's the soft skills that the Army's taught me a lot, how you interact with people, how you speak to people, isn't something that you think of consciously in your day-to-day life, but as a troop commander going through they call it CABS at Santos, Communication and Behavioural Science, you learn how to speak to people, how to listen, which was a big skill I picked up on, because you think that's a pretty standard skill for everybody to possess.
Okay, so I joined the Army a little bit later, actually. I joined at 25. So I felt like my sort of career life back home was kind of going nowhere, and I wanted to do something I was proud of. But yeah, I just felt like I wanted to do something different. My age kind of was holding me back as well. I was like, am I too old? But then I got to basic training and there was older people, older recruits than me, and I felt like I've made the right choice. And it's completely changed who I am. Even though I was already 25, sort of quite a developed person anyway, I just changed in ways that I didn't think I would. Like Sir was saying, I just become a better all-rounder, definitely more confident. Yeah, and it made me kind of reevaluate a lot of things in my life. What was important to me before are not really important now. Family, friends back home, it makes you really appreciate things more. So yeah, I know for definitely it was the right thing for me to do, and I definitely don't regret a single thing. I'm so glad that I did it, even at 25.
I'd had a couple of different possible career paths before I looked at the military. I'll be honest, it was not something on my radar at all. I initially applied for a completely different job role than the one I do now. And it was just because of the opportunities that were presented to me that I chose to go down the route of nursing, where they've been able to provide me with a degree. So that's my professional development, where if there's opportunities that are presented, then I'll take them. I spent the last 2 days playing badminton for Royal Army Medical Services. In a few weeks' time, I'll probably be doing a different sport if I can fit it in. It's very varied, and I think that's where I've been able to get that professional development.
And how have you all enjoyed that process as well?
You know what? I actually went skating last year, alpine skating for 4 weeks with the engineers, and honestly, it was the most scariest thing in my life. See, going on a red slope. I don't know if any of you have skied before yourselves, but honestly, I was bricking it. But you know what? As soon as I done it, and I kept on doing it, I was like, like I just came out of my comfort zone. Like honestly, I was petrified, but it was like knowing that I'd done that and I was getting better at it, I was just so much more happier within myself. And you know what the funny thing is? I only paid about £150 like to go on that skiing trip. And I'm not going to lie, you would not get that anywhere else in no other job. So yeah, that was what I done last November to December time. Yeah, it was the best time of my life. Even if I was hating my life for a bit of it, I got over my fears. And you know what? I've booked myself on to go skiing this year.
Black slopes this year.
Yeah, no. Alpine again.
Yeah, no, massively. You've touched on some of the qualifications and bits and pieces that you can kind of acquire through those as well. Before you joined the army, was that something you were aware of?
No, I didn't realise it at all. Basically, when I went to the careers office, I asked them, give me all the options that you've got available, so I can kind of judge for myself what to go down. Since I've been in, there's opportunities that I wasn't even aware of, particularly being part of the Royal Army Medical Services. We've got so many different job roles, more so than some other trades, where you can go and get these degrees, which will set you up for the rest of your career and after you leave the military as well.
We'll delve more into kind of that as we kind of go through this episode, but obviously there's apprenticeships as well, which is something you're really familiar with.
I actually transferred to the AGC SBS, which is basically HR administrating my squadron. When I came out of my SIPAC course, you call it, at Worthy Down, basically you're loaded on to a level 3 business administration. And as you mentioned about qualifications, so as I said previously, I hated school and I really struggled with math. So I knew that when I was going to the Army Foundation College, Harrogate, that there would be an opportunity for me to get my maths and also my ICT. So yeah, I knew about that. And like as a 16-year-old, like you need, GCSEs is very important, but like that bit of like one-on-one at the Army Foundation College, it was amazing, and I was so much more happier once I got it, because obviously you need your GCSEs. Get what you can under your belt. It'll just help you so much more in life, and obviously for promotion in the Army as well.
Yeah, no, massive. I think something from just this initial discussion, there's so many different opportunities that are kind of which is like really, really important to hear. Thank you so much. Well, there's so many different paths and so much support on offer. Let's take a moment now to discuss just how wide the range of roles and specialisations within the Army there are. Wherever your strengths lie, you can find where you belong. There's so much speciality a lot on this panel, which is really exciting. But Ellis, let's start with you because we mentioned obviously that logistics element, but also there's a music element to your kind of career as well, which is 2 specialities already for you.
Yeah, so I joined the Army as a port operator within the Royal Logistic Corps. That's based down in Southampton at 17 Port and Maritime Regiment. So I did all of my training there, and I actually did an apprenticeship as well alongside that. And like you were saying, Robin, like I also struggled with maths at school, so I got my maths alongside that as well. But after a year of trade, the opportunity to join the Royal Logistic Corps of Drums come up, and I went for it. So I'd never done anything music-wise before in my life, and it was completely new, and it was just an opportunity that come up, and I was like, yes, I'll go for it. Yeah, that was an opportunity that I never thought would come my way. I didn't even know about it. So doing that for me was brilliant. Like I absolutely loved it, and I'm so glad that I did it.
And have you found those kind of transferables between those? Because obviously from the music element, you're ceremonial, you're representing the Army on that kind of stage, bits and pieces. Then from a logistics point of view, you're supporting the troops and getting equipment to where it's needed to be. So is there kind of transferables between the two and lessons that you can kind of carry into both?
You want to represent yourself in the best way, but you've got a responsibility. You want to do the best job.
So that's great to hear about the kind of music and logistics piece. Let's talk about medical now, because there's a wide range of opportunities within the medical element.
Well, there's a variety of different job roles that you can go for in the Royal Army Medical Services. So I've gone through nursing as adult nursing. We've also got mental health nurses, operating department practitioners, sort of working more like a theatre nurse. You've also got biomedical science, you've got radiography, you've got environmental health, and then that's just the ones that you've got the degrees for. You can also seek out other opportunities. So if you're looking to go, for example, veterinary, dental or doctor, although they're not going to provide you with the degree, they can offer you bursaries which will help support you during your training and then nice financial incentives once you qualify. And there's some of my colleagues that I went through training with where that's exactly what they're doing now. They're making the most of it and getting into those fields. Or you can continue as a generalist and just make the most of getting your clinical experience while you can, whether that be in a joint hospital group or in a medical regiment, getting deployed and enjoying it. And like I said, make the most of it.
Lots of other elements as well, obviously communications and intelligence and IT. Obviously from a signals point of view, communication's really important.
Communications wise, it's a STEM subject. I never thought that I was the sort of person that would get into STEM. So my degree originally I did at politics at the University of Portsmouth. We were at OTC together, which is how I heard about the army. But I never thought I would be one of these people that gets into like a STEM career, because I thought, no, that's for like, absolute whiz kids that can go away and digest all this information. And it was only after initially talking to people in the signals that I thought, well, actually, like a lot of an officer's role in the signals is talking to people and like learning to liaise between the technical experts and the people that need the services that they provide. And it's sort of indirectly through working with all this equipment taught me so much about not generalist IT, but sort of how communications work, and a lot about myself as a person, because everyone sees the signals flash and thinks, oh, you definitely know something about communications, you know stuff about IT. And if I don't, I'm now confident to say, well, I don't understand that, but I can now go and find my technical expert that will give you that information. Pre-army, I couldn't have looked at a router or a switch and known that from Adam, but now I'm nowhere near a technical expert. But it's quite nice to know that I've got the skills now to be able to look at some of this equipment and start to at least understand bits of it.
Nice, and your family love you because if the broadband goes down, you're the person to call.
Yeah, that's my job at home now. It's sort of like, oh, I've not got a telly. Can you put the aerial in? Can you turn the Wi-Fi on? Toaster's not working. Like anything electrical now, it's like, oh, that's your job.
That's your job. And I guess also from a AGC point of view as well, you've got the HR finance support, and I think a lot of people don't appreciate the amount of work that the AGC does.
Yeah, you know what? Like, I'm on camp with the engineers, and honestly, my detachment, we work from 8:30 to 5 o'clock. Like, we've always got stuff to do. I manage my own workload. Whether that be people's pay, people's leave. I work closely with my squadron sergeant major, my 2IC, and yeah, it's just looking after the lasses and the lads, just making sure that all their admin is squared, especially because we're in readiness. So I've got a few trips that are going out to Kosovo in August, so I'm just preparing everything for them to go away. They're away for 30 days and I think they're getting a medal for that. I'm so jealous I'm not on it. You know what? Like, I really enjoy my job, and it's all about having like that good customer service, like how you deal with people. One little problem of theirs could be like the biggest worry, and it's like, to me, like, I just want to look after them and sort them out as much as I can. I do love my job, to be fair. Like, I'm dealing with so many people daily.
And I guess also from that kind of HR and finance and support role that the AGC provides with all the different CAT badges that are under that kind of that cipher. Those roles are vital within the army. I think sometimes people just maybe look at it as it's that combat piece, it's the peacekeeping, it's the operations and boots on the ground. But actually, there are different elements that are needed to make the army work. You
know what? I'm actually glad you say that. Like, we are needed. Like, and I know I do sit behind a desk, but you know what? Throughout my working day, I'm on PT in the morning. To be fair, I'm doing loads of different things. But yeah, if we weren't here, like, who would you go to? So yeah, we might have a different job role, but we're still required. And you know what? The amount of people I get coming to me with problems, like, I need to be here. I need to be doing my job. I should be in office right now, but I'm doing this.
No, it must be.
But just to challenge that sort of conception, I know we've got the stages. You're either combat support, combat service support, but that doesn't mean that people don't get the chance to go forward and do these things. One of the things I love about the signals is that you can have, like a lot of my troops do, you can stay back in a network operating centre and you can manage the kit and equipment from a distance, or you can act as a rear link detachment. And I've had 2 of my soldiers recently come back from Exercise Wessex Storm, where they were fighting through basements and clearing with the infantry, only to go back to camp and then start working on their kit and equipment again. So to sort of challenge that somewhat, like, we may all have different jobs and different areas in the battle space, but the opportunity to transit across that battle space for where you would like to fit in is something that I love. I'm not sure too much if anyone could jump in on other CAT badges, but definitely in the signals.
Absolutely, yeah. Even I think across the whole army, really, that the world's your oyster, and it's it brings so many opportunities. Even if little things come up and you're like, yeah, I'll get on that.
You
And
have to be
yeah, you
proactive
have to be
with it.
proactive.
I feel like you do shape your own career, so
Yeah.
You
like,
absolutely do.
you're
Yeah.
in charge of it.
You can make
Yeah.
the most of it. You have to be proactive with it. Some things can get presented to you, but not everything's just going to land on your lap. You need to be able to seek out those opportunities.
Yeah.
But along the same thread of what you were saying, there's so many job roles where I think from an outside perspective, we often do think of the army just as boots on the ground, whereas there's so many different job roles that most people wouldn't have even considered because they aren't all in that same niche.
Yeah.
Some really interesting insight there. Well, as you've heard, no matter what your interests are, there is a role in the army that can help you build valuable experience, gain qualifications, and prepare you for whatever comes next throughout your career as a soldier and when you leave the army. And it doesn't stop there. The army offers brilliant opportunities for apprenticeships in all kinds of trades, and not just the ones that you might expect. And for those thinking about higher education, there are schemes that can help fund your university studies while you develop as a leader. Well, let's hear more about how that works. And we've spoken a little bit about apprenticeships already, but that's something that obviously you've been involved in and you're doing. Just talk to us about apprenticeships and how that works within the army.
Yep. So basically, when I came out of my phase 2 training to become a military practitioner administrator, basically I got loaded on to my level 3 business studies, and basically I'm given a time frame of when I need to complete it, and it's with Pearson's TQ. So it's a civvy company. They're with you along the way. So like they give you a lot of help with it, and there's about 12 different tasks basically I needed to complete for this level 3, and I actually finished it there in March. So this allows me to promote to corporal in the medium term. So yeah, I'm thankful. Any qualification that the army offers you, honestly, just take it, because the more you've got under your belt, like, you know, you'll just be much more employable for any employer, really.
And I think as well with the army, there's a lot of courses you have to do part of your progression that do have transferables into getting a degree. So when you do troop commander's course and bits and pieces as an officer, a lot of that can then transfer into leadership and logistic degrees through the RLC as well. From a medical point of view, obviously there's lots of different avenues there for degrees. You can PQO officers that kind of go through Sandhurst with professional qualifications.
We also have apprenticeships as well. It's not just limited to degrees. So we've got our healthcare assistants, we've got the combat medical technicians, we've got the dog handlers. So they still will get some form of qualification. But as I mentioned earlier, there are a lot of different degrees where the military or the army will fund your degree. You'll still be getting that salary while you're at university, which a lot of you'll often go to a civilian university. I went to Birmingham City University, and yeah, your colleagues, the civilian counterparts, will kind of be like, well, I'm doing the same job as you. There is the option for them to join as well if they wanted to, and do their nursing, or whether it be operating department practitioner, biomedical science, etc. There are those degrees available, which, like I said, when I first applied, I didn't realise were an option.
So I've got a friend, Declan, who I think is like the perfect example of like how to capitalise on this. So he joined the Royal Signals and then decided to commission, went through the commissioning course, and is now in my squadron. His next posting is actually to university. So he's doing an in-service degree. He's got an assignment order, which is like the document that says where you're going to be posted to next. And he's going to university for 3 years with his accommodation looked after by the army. He's being given a lieutenant's wage whilst at university. And then he's committed to another 3 years of service, I think, after that.
Yeah, so there'll be the return of service afterwards, yeah.
He's got 3 years of sort of out of the mainstream army because he didn't join with a degree in the first place, to then go and do an in-service degree, fully paid for, because it's paying back to his career in communications. So I think he's doing a communications engineering degree, but the commitment is to spend, I think, 2 or 3 nights a week with an officer training corps, which is helping cadets and reservists sort of go through that commissioning pipeline. But I think it's just he's definitely got the best out of the army there, because 3 years at university, like, being paid to do it as well is insane.
That's incredible.
We get a lot of people as well, some of you said that academically you weren't feeling particularly strong at school, but you can be provided with those opportunities if you start building up with your GCSEs, with your access courses. There's the chance for you to go and still do the degree. I've known some of the best people on my courses where they might not have been academically strong, but they've really, really developed. They've managed to learn to write at a higher level for the degree, and then they've really strived when it's come to placements and achieving their qualification.
And you were obviously talking a little better when we were having a chat before we came on air for this episode of the kind of qualifications you've gained already.
Yes, so through Sandhurst, you've got a few options. If you join without a degree, you can choose to take I think it's Bachelor of Science in Leadership and Management Studies. I joined with a degree. I've got a Politics and International Relations degree, which is nothing to do with my current role in the Signals, which I think is always quite exciting to sort of completely change your path. Or you could do what I did, and you can sort of cash that out for a level 5 in Leadership and Management. If you've already got a degree and you want to carry that on, I think you have to stay in until major, because it ties with your career courses. You know, as you progress through the army, you've got to do different levels of course to substantiate in rank and stuff like that. You can turn that into a master's in Leadership and Management. But because I'm in the Signals, I chose not to do that, as I said before, take the level 5 qualification, because the Signals on the Troop Commander's course counts to a part of a degree with Lincoln University in Communications Engineering. And it doesn't matter if you've got a degree beforehand, you've got to apply for it. And if you're successful, which I'm considering doing, you can then sit another degree alongside serving. You do that part-time for 3 or 4 years, and then you come out of it at the end of it with a Bachelor of Science in Communications Management. So I thought the degree pathway, when obviously we met at university, I thought I'd missed the boat for university bursaries and thought I've already got my own degree, so I'm not going to try and get more money out of the army. To know that there's a chance to go away and do a second bachelor's degree is really exciting.
Like you said, with options there as well, kind of the fact that you said yourself that you're a transfer, we do often get a lot of interest from people wanting to transfer into the medical services where there are these degrees available, and they can use things like access courses. We actually offer a higher education access course which will line them up, so even though you might join the army in one job role, you can end up doing something completely different later on in your career. You're not stuck in that role for the rest of your time.
It's probably also important to tie that to not just the CAP badge. I've recently discovered the cheat code that is standard learning credits. So if you've not used them before, I think it's £50 for the initial version, or up to £100 or something for the initial standard learning credits. You can get enhanced learning credits, which is another slightly larger sum of money, where you can go away and find any qualification you want to do, and the army will pay a sum of that qualification. So it has to vaguely benefit the service, but at Lark Hill there's a big board in the education centre that says these are the courses that we've approved funding for, and there's stuff like beekeeping, barista training.
I've heard of eyelash extension courses. I've heard of sommelier courses.
And as long as you can justify that it's your personal and professional development, the education and training services are normally pretty on side with okaying those. So we've had people do languages. A lot of people choose to get Rosetta Stone, like a lifetime subscription to Rosetta Stone, so that they can consistently upskill themselves on language, because the army will pay you to learn a language as well, which is another. I'm trying to get on that with French, but my French is absolutely awful. But we shall see in the time being.
Again, what we were saying earlier, though, is there are these great opportunities for you, but you do have to be proactive with them. You do have to seek them out. They're there for you to use every year, but the majority of people, we are busy. We do have busy lives, but most people don't utilise those opportunities available to them.
And I guess you as well with the music element, is there opportunities to do grades of the instruments you're learning, and obviously music learning as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can, once I've got more experience, because I've only done 5 months, which sounds like a long time, but in the music world it isn't. And I was 28 when I started the course as well, so obviously a little bit older going into it. But I have the opportunity later on, if I want to, do a civilian qualification. So right now I'm probably at about grade 4, but I know it goes up to grade 8, so I can absolutely do that as well. And I'll probably be using my standard learning credits to do that as well.
When you mentioned about age again there, I feel like it's something that when we first joined, you did feel like you were the older one in the troop.
Absolutely.
But actually, I think it can really benefit by having a bit of extra life experience before you join the
Definitely.
military.
Yeah,
It can
I
vary.
do.
You can have people straight in from school and this is what they want to do. They maybe want to get away from where they are and reform themselves. However, if you've had a little bit of life experience, maybe you've gone to university before, maybe you've just worked your way up through a job, or maybe not known what to do in the meantime, it doesn't really matter. There is an age range of people that join and make the most of it in their own different ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes it more interesting as well. So from the officer sort of troop commander perspective, a lot of my soldiers had like other trades before they joined the army. And the other day we had one of our crew rooms redone. So we're going to make a nicer break room area. And people started coming out of the woodwork saying, like, oh, we don't need to pay to do that because I'm actually a qualified electrician. Or you don't need to do that because I used to do flooring and I know how to put the floors in. And it's really cool having that background of experience. And it meant that we all sort of got to chat to each other about what we all did before the army. And it just makes the army in general a more interesting place to
It
be.
makes it
absolutely.
more diverse, more interesting.
Yeah, it must be. And from a reserve perspective as well, you still get access to those learning credits and those kind of learning bits as well. And some real valuable points there about actually, it doesn't matter when you come in, there's still that opportunity to learn. But actually, the army is helping shape you as an all-round individual. So when your time with the army does finish, you've got those skills and qualifications, which is really, really important. Well, of course, there are many misconceptions about army career prospects too. Some people think that joining the army means putting your education or future career on hold. But as we've heard today, that couldn't be further from the truth. So let's talk a bit more about the kinds of long-term opportunities the army offers and bust some of those misconceptions once and for all. So I guess let's just throw it doors completely wide open. The myths you've kind of all heard, and let's kind of bust some of those misconceptions.
Well, you said about putting your career on hold. Mine's kind of been the other way around, where you're kind of putting more of the military on hold, where I went to university for 3 years. That is effectively your phase 2 training. You'll go there from basic training. So all the great stuff that we've said that you can utilise, like the sport and adventure training, the main thing is during that point, it's going to be a little bit limited. Your focus is getting that degree. They don't want you to injure yourself and then get set back. And then post-degree, you also have a preceptorship where they want to make sure that you're competent at your job. So if you are getting deployed soon after, you're good at your job, you can actually do what you've been trained to do. So I wouldn't say it's so much of a misconception, but more a positive and a negative, that while you're in training, it is a bit limited on accessing those opportunities. But once you get out of that point, make the most of it. I know so many people that as soon as they're out of that degree or that preceptorship or apprenticeship, they're making the most of it, lapping onto every opportunity they can, whether it's going to play rugby in Texas or whether it's going Nordic skiing for 4 weeks or snowboarding for a month. There's so many things that you can take advantage of.
But yeah, on that adventurous training piece as well, one of the misconceptions I had quite recently, I've been lucky enough to put together an AT package, an adventurous training package in Germany. And I spoke to a lot of the senior soldiers in my squadron that were saying, oh, well, it's always the junior ranks that get away on all of these sort of things, because they do a lot of the time, and it's a key part of that offer. But that doesn't stop once you promote from a junior rank. A lot of them had the misconception that AT wasn't going to be available to them because, they're in the army now and they're doing their time. And that couldn't be further from the case. Our commanding officer at 2 Signal Regiment, I think it's divisional-wise policy, says that 33% of the regiment has got to get away on adventurous training every year. And a key part of getting that number is making sure that everybody from across the rank range is represented in getting away. So I've been lucky enough to go up to them and be able to tell them, well, actually, in line with this policy, I actually can take a lot of you that thought you couldn't get away on AT away with us to Germany. And for them especially, they've been serving a while, a lot of them are returning to Germany, to areas that they used to serve in back when the British Army had a presence in Germany, which is really exciting. So that misconception that all of that initial law stops the second that you're in, the offer stops giving, is like absolutely false. And it's been really lovely to be able to, as a troop commander, go in and bust that myth.
Again, following on from that, we were talking earlier about being proactive. There are so many different sports that you can access in the army, and if it's one that we don't already do, if you're proactive and look at how it can be done, then it possibly can be utilised. And it's the same with the adventure training opportunities, where if your unit or where you're based doesn't currently have a package where they'll go out together, you can go on it yourself, or you can try and arrange a trip. I've seen other people do that, and they've really done well, going to all sorts of places that I would quite happily have joined.
Saying something really quite controversial, at least like military audience, I've got really into caving.
Oh, I love caving as well. I've done that.
That's the only other person I've found that
Yeah.
will agree with me. I got the chance to do it in phase 1, and the idea previously of caving sounded awful. You basically put on a bunch of mountaineering equipment and squeeze yourself through a series of decreasingly sized holes to get into other places underground. You can do like abseil and stuff like that. And it sounded...
Is there one called the cheese press?
That's fantastic.
The one in
So that's,
is it Yorkshire?
yes.
Yeah,
In
never
Allen-
again. I've
Allen
done that.
not to show any caving
It's
nerdage
oddly
there.
satisfying, isn't it? I know
Caving
it's
was the
not for
thing that
everyone.
kind of showed people's weaknesses when we were at basic
Yeah.
training.
Well,
That pushed people out
I
their
used to love it as well
comfort
because there's people that are physically and mentally robust. They'll smash everybody on PT. You think like there's nothing that can shake these people. And then suddenly they're underground.
Get them in a cave.
Yeah, absolutely. Which sounds slightly
Different
threatening.
story.
I'm not going to, or you get in a cave. But the opportunity to get involved and do that, like I never, as a civilian, would have thought I'm going to see that hole in the ground. I'm going to get in that.
I'm going to get paid to go and do that.
But now, one of my sort of life ambitions, because I'm based in the north at the moment and I'm from Cheshire, near Derbyshire, I want to be part of a cave rescue organisation, which is such a bizarre sort of life objective that I wouldn't have known about if it weren't for the army, like giving me the chance to try this frankly insane sport.
Here, do you know? See the cave in Yorkshire. Do you ever remember that waterfall in that same cave? I'm not even kidding you. I done this at Harrogate when we went AT. I'm not even I was sailing up that waterfall and I thought I was gonna die. Honestly, that was the worst experience of my life. So that was an end to that
That's
caving.
the best part about it.
No, I wasn't doing that again.
Because it's leadership
Honestly,
resilience.
it was awful.
It's the give
I
and
thought I
take
was
with
gonna
adventure
die.
training.
So good.
If caving's not for you, don't panic. I'm going to make you do it. I guess another thing to keep the conversation flowing is the ease of these things. You've mentioned, obviously, you've found something you're putting that course on. You said be proactive about it. For yourself, Ellis, some kind of hands-on experience, and you've been through that process of that transition and wanting to go and do some of the musical pieces.
Yeah.
How easy was that? Because I guess people watching this might be thinking, it's very easy to say
Yeah,
go do that, but actually, how difficult was the
There
process?
definitely is a misconception that once you're settled in your role, that your regiment won't release you. But me personally, when I made it known that I wanted to explore the Corps of Drums, I spoke to my troop commander, and straight away I had full support from my entire troop, and they said, if it's something that you want to do, we'll support you, and because they know as well that it's going to be good for not just the regiment, but it's good for the Corps, because obviously we need a Corps of Drums. So they were absolutely supportive. I had a really, really easy process, and I think I come away here, had you have a look at life with the Corps of Drums, so just to see if it's going to be something that you fancy. That was 2 days, and I think after I'd done that, I was here within 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah, for me it was a really positive and easy process.
Amazing. Well, thanks everyone. Great to have you on this episode, and thanks so much for sharing such valuable insight with us on this episode. Well, that is it for Behind the Camo, and I hope we've given you a clearer picture of how an army career is about more than just today. It's about building a future with skills, qualifications, and experiences that will stay with you for life. In our next episode, we'll be looking at joining the army, what you need to know. So if you're curious about what army life looks like beyond the headlines, make sure you join us again. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.